This is how to create spreadsheet observations in HeadLight. We're going to start off by opening HeadLight Fieldbook and logging in. And then we're going to tap on the project title on the top left to verify that we're on the correct project by scrolling through the pop-up menu and selecting the project. Then we'll start off by creating an equipment spreadsheet observation. On the left-hand side, we're going to go ahead and tap on Spreadsheets and ensure that we're on the Equipment tab. So let's tap on the green plus sign on the top right to create a new equipment spreadsheet observation. Then we're going to go ahead and tap on the gear icon on the left side so that we can customize the columns that we see. Note that the columns that will be shown are the ones that stay showing. Then we're going to tap in the first row underneath pay item to associate a pay item. Next, we're going to swipe to the right so that we can select the contractor. Then we're going to swipe back left so that we can select the equipment that's based upon the contractor. Note that you should only have one equipment entry per row. Then we'll tap underneath operating so that we can determine the operating hours. And similarly, we'll go ahead and tap underneath standby so that we can determine the standby hours for that equipment. However, for multiple entries that use similar data, where for an example, the top 3 entries have the same contractor, you can select the entries that you want to edit by selecting on Select on the top and then selecting on the individual rows. Then go ahead and tap on Edit Labels at the bottom. Here you can select the data that will be applied to the different entries that you selected, and then that'll be applied to those entries. Next, we're going to learn how to create labor or personnel spreadsheet observations. So next, we're going to tap on the Personnel tab next to the Equipment tab at the top. Then we're going to make a new personnel spreadsheet observation by tapping on the green plus sign at the top right. And then we'll tap on the gear on the top left so that we can go ahead and customize the columns that we'll see, where again, the columns that will be displayed are the ones that say showing. And again, we'll go ahead and tap on the first row underneath pay item so that we can associate a pay item. Then we'll go ahead and tap underneath contractor so that we can associate a contractor. Then we'll go ahead and swipe to the right so that we can select the personnel that's based upon the contractor. And similar to equipment, we can only associate one person per row. Then we're going to swipe back to the left so that we can determine the amount of hours that they worked for that pay item. And again, for multiple entries with similar data, we can actually use a shortcut so that we can apply the same data with doing less work. Start by tapping on Select at the top so that we can go ahead and select the entries that we want to edit. Then we'll tap on Edit Labels at the bottom so that we can select the data that we want to apply to all of our entries. Lastly, you just have to determine the amount of hours for each of the different personnel that you entered, and you're done. Next, we're going to learn how to create weather spreadsheet observations. Then we'll tap on the Weather tab next to Personnel at the top. Then let's go ahead and create a new weather spreadsheet observation by tapping on the green plus sign on the top right. Then we'll tap on the gear icon on the top left so that we can customize the columns that we'll see. Then we'll go ahead and tap underneath condition so that we can select the condition based upon the small pop-up menu. Then we'll tap underneath rain gauge so that we can enter the rain gauge amount for that day. And lastly, we'll tap underneath comments so we can enter any additional comments that you may have for the weather of that day. Lastly, we're going to learn how to create a pay item or work item spreadsheet observation. So we'll tap on the work item tab next to the weather tab on the top. Then we'll create a new work item spreadsheet observation by tapping on the green plus sign on the right and tap on the gear icon on the left so that we can choose what columns we want displayed. And again, for multiple entries that have similar data, we can use the shortcut that we just learned, where we can go ahead and enter the different pay item numbers, because what's similar in this case is the contractor. Tap on Select at the top so we can select the entries that we want to apply the similar data to. Then we'll tap on Edit Labels at the bottom so we can select the similar data that we want applied to our entries. And lastly, all you have to do is enter the place quantity for each of the different entries, and then you're done.